Rodriguez, and I am your worship leader today. Today, as we celebrate Indigenous Day, let us honor the resilience and contribution of our Indigenous brothers and sisters. Let us remember the struggles and triumph that have shaped our history. As we gather here today, let us recognize the importance of the Indigenous people to this land. May we all strive to understand and respect the diversity, perspective of the Indigenous community. Let us come together to celebrate the rich heritage of our Indigenous people. May we honor their stories and continue to work towards more inclusive society. I would like to have Richard come forward and help me with the chalice lighting. Are you okay? As we light this chalice, I ask the Great Spirit, strength, wisdom, so we may walk in beauty and harmony with all living things, to guide us as we navigate the challenges of life, to help us find the right path and make wise decisions, to protect us from harm and negativity, surround us with light and love. I ask the Great Spirit that peace may fill our hearts and the hearts of all beings. Let us live in harmony with one another. Finally, Great Spirit, I give thanks for the blessings of this day, for the beauty of the earth, and for the love of family and friends. Blessed be. Amen and Namaste.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalists of Fellowship of Northern Nevada. My name is Boony Gorsakul. I will be your worship associate today. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm honored to be here as we celebrate Indigenous Day. Whether you're joining us for the first time via Zoom or returning as a longtime friend, we are so glad that you are here. We are an inclusive spiritual community that welcomes all people of every race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, ability, and beliefs. Before we begin today, we take a moment to ground ourselves in gratitude and truth. We acknowledge that we gather on the traditional lands of the Paiute, Shoshone, and the Washoe people who have lived in and cared for this region for countless generations. We honor their deep connection to the land, water, and all living things. We recognize the ongoing presence of Indigenous peoples in our community today and commit ourselves to the work of justice, repair, and respectful relationship. At UUFNN, we believe that love is the spirit of this congregation, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Welcome to this sacred space. May you find here a community of open hearts, inquisitive minds, and hands ready to build a more just and compassionate world. Before we move into our greeting to one another, I'd like to draw your attention to the front of your seat or back of your seat for the joys and concerns cards. Feel free to write a joy or concern down if you'd like those to be shared. And yeah, now it's time to greet each other. I'll ring the singing bowl when it's time to come back.
Good morning. Together we're going to sing 1060 as we sing of hope and joy. Please rise, embody your spirit, and join us in singing.
never know where to put this. I'm still figuring this out. Anyways, today's story for all ages starts with a story. Before going into the story, as I was doing research on the Cherokee tribe, I learned that the way that indigenous folk share stories, it's really different. As I was looking at the story, I noticed that it's not like in sentences where I read word for word, but instead it's like in the form of a poem, where as I look at these words before the bracket, I improvise and share my own version of the story. And I'm friends with the Lakota tribe out here, where we sit and share stories, and I've noticed patterns of how the stories have been shared among one another. And I noticed that part of the connection piece is how the story is shared from ancestor to ancestor, how every version of the story is always different, and how each moral of the story is always different. So I get to share my own version of the story, and you all get to take away what you take away. And at the end of the story, I'll also share what I take away from the story. So this story is called How the Animals Got Fire. It's by Lloyd Arnich. He's a Cherokee tribal elder in North Carolina. And to start the story, this is the story of how the animals got fire. So long ago in this world, there was darkness. It was really cold. There was no light, but the animals were around. There was water everywhere. No one really knew what was going on, and no one could really see each other, but all the animals could talk with each other. And so one day, the creator noticed this, that the animals could use some warmth. And so the creator sent down a bolt of lightning down, which hit a hollow tree, sparked a light on an island. And all the animals saw this light, and they were curious about it. They didn't know what it was. They hadn't experienced anything like it, but they were really drawn, similar to a flame, to warmth. So all the animals were on an island and were surrounded by water, noticed that this island was far away, and they all talked to each other, wondering how could they bring this fire back to share amongst everybody. They imagined what this fire was like, what warmth might be like, and they all worked together, figuring out how they can get this fire. The first animal to volunteer to get this fire is the screech owl. The screech owl flew out to this tree, landed on one of its branches, noticed that there was some coal down at the roots of the tree, and tried its best to get to the coal, and found that the wind was gusting, that it was really hard to get to the coal, and found its feathers seared. And the tribe shares this story talking about how this is how the screeching owl got little like shadowy seared feathers like around to their eyes, and they can look at this owl to be reminded that, oh, this owl attempted to get the fire. Because it was too hot, it flew back to the animals. The next animal that tried was the bear. The bear swam and got to the island, looked around the tree, and figured out a way to try to get through the tree, navigating through the bark, and found itself trapped. And as the heat rose, the bear got too hot and its fur got seared too. Hence how the black bear came to be. And so the Cherokee members talked about how they look at the black bear now, reminding themselves of the story about how, oh, the bear also tried to bring us fire. And so more and more animals tried their best to get the fire, and every animal that came back, found that the fire was too hot. Hope was getting lost until one small creature volunteered, and it was the small water spider. The small water spider volunteered to give it a go, and all the animals talked amongst each other and said, why not? Go for it. So, so the first challenge that this spider had to endure was how to get across the water. And so this spider weaved a web, a boat, to get across the lands to get to the other island. Next, the spider needed to figure out how to get to the fire. And so it used its small stature, crawled its way around the tree and eventually found the coal that was creating the fire. After that, the spider thought of a way to try to carry the fire, and it weaved a basket to try to carry the fire. It noticed that the web could burn, so it thought of a way to put mud over this basket and put the coal in it. So after all this hard work, the spider was able to carry the coal and bring it back to the animals. They brought it back to the Cherokee elders. The story that I heard of talked about how there were 7 tribes at the time, and this is how the people got fire. This is how all the animals got fire. And a lot of themes that showed up in this story for me was how there was no judgment amongst all the animals. All the animals saw each other as equals. All the animals knew that they had limitations in the world. They all knew that they all had their place in this world. And they didn't judge one another for all of this. While they acknowledged that they all tried, they were all still really grateful for each other for doing what they can and doing their part. And I think this story really calls back to that it's okay for all of us to be who we are, the black bear, the owls can fly, the bears can swim, the spider has its own creativity and can be small, and that I learned from the elders talking about how these stories really remind us that there had been trying times over and over, from manifest destiny, from slavery, and somehow we all still found that we're here. We're all still here together, and we somehow managed to find a way together. I think that this story also shares how things don't always have to be perfect. We like to think of structuring things and making them all neat, but when we think of like a forest and thinking about the way that the trees are structured, we don't look at the trees and think, oh, like why don't we organize it this way, or why don't we organize it that way? The forest just is, it has its own ecosystem, and they all thrive together. I think that this story brings us back to how important storytelling is, how it's not necessarily important how the story is told all the time, but just what we're all getting from the stories sometimes. It doesn't always have to be right, it doesn't have to be fact, and how a lot of these stories really helped to push all of us to survive in the ways that we survived. It's connected our families together, it's connected our friends together, and I think this is a story that also shares how connected not only how important history is, but also fictional story. And so I think this will tie into a little more of what Xiomara has to share for us today. But thank you for giving me the space, this attempt to share the story in this way. And amen and blessed be.
Love the story. So this is a time usually where Nathan tells you to stretch out and uh, breathe. And well, I'm not Nathan. So I am not going to ask you to stretch out and breathe, but I'm going to ask you for a special favor. Put your feet down on the ground. Close your eyes and breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And open your hearts to this day, to the beauty of this day, to the beauty of being together with one another, to the beauty of enjoying each other's company, to the beauty of what today brings, to the beauty of our future all together. I've got to share a couple of things, so if you don't mind. Jennifer Corn, chili cook-off yesterday. I don't know how many of you came, but God, was it great. It was awesome. We had a good time. A good time. You see, I could refrain myself once in a while. Stephanie, thank you for the flowers who put in the automatic. Oh, thank you, Chris. Put the automatic doors in. Thank you. Marcella, my wife is having a challenging geriatric pregnancy, baby Ruby. Rain is due on November 20th. Request for prayers for a healthy mom and baby through the last days of the pregnancy. Let's lift her in our thoughts and prayers. Richard, Margaret Anderson, progress for mom diagnosed with Alzheimer this week, and for stepdad who cares for her. Also from Richard, prayers for dad going through rough sundowners, dementia, and moving to an assisting living. Rosie wants Maria, who was here last week, sharing, and share the plate. This is a hard one because according to what Rosie have to say, her brother was hit by a car. Please put the family in your prayers and thoughts, please. Alisa, mom, hi mom, is recovering from a serious injury and will be moved to a minimum care this coming Wednesday. So again, in our hearts and prayers to everyone, the joys and the sorrows. I would like to acknowledge that we come to this part of the service for our joys and concerns on Indigenous Day, that we understand that the Native American healing prayers often emphasize an interconnectedness of all lives and the importance of harmony and nature. They serve not only as a request for personal healing, but also as a meaning to foster community, well-being, and spiritual growth. And now, how about if we just take a couple of seconds and take every one of these people and put it in our hearts, in those open hearts that I told you to open before. Let's put them all there for just a couple of minutes. Based on Cherokee words, Great Spirit, we humbly seek your grace and wisdom for healing, both physically and spiritually. May your light guide the hearts of those who suffer, bring restoration and peace. May the wind of healing blow gently upon us, bring comfort and restoration to our spirit. May we honor the tradition of our ancestors and ask for unity and strength as we reclaim our heritage and healing. Amen. Thank you. I could have walked back and forth, but it's too much exercise on a Sunday. I know that many of you are expecting me to talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. We are close to the end of the celebration. October 15th is the last day. But I'm not here to talk about that. I think I have spoken about the contribution of Latinos to this country many times. So I'm going to take a break from that and explore a new topic. Today we're celebrating Indigenous Day. Today we're honoring our Indigenous brothers and sisters, their past, the present, and the future. Today, I'm here as a partial Indigenous person. I have some Taino blood in me, and the shirt is the sun, the Taino sun. So I'm celebrating my ancestors. The Taínos were the indigenous people of the Caribbean. Not all Taínos were eliminated by the Spaniards. There are some of us who still carry their blood. So, once again, I find myself, as we acknowledge Indigenous Day, it is important that we take a look at our history, a history of conquest, of colonization, and oppression of people. History tells us that the colonization of the United States covered a period of European colonization of North America from the early 1600s until the unifying of the 13 British colonies and the creation of the United States in 1776 during the Revolutionary War. In the late 16th century, England, France, and Spain, and the Dutch Republic launched a major colonization expedition in North America, with Jamestown being the first permanent English settlement in America, founded in 1607 in Virginia. It was the British first foothold in the Americas. It was England, France, and the Dutch Republic that invaded the lands of North America, while the Spanish and the Portuguese took the lands of Central, South, and the Caribbean. The English came to these lands under the flag of searching for religious freedom. But they did not stop to consider the people that were already on these lands, and they proceeded to take the land, stripping the people here from their religion, their culture, and their beliefs. The idea of religious freedom was just base that was used to colonize the land that belonged to the so-called savages. The people that spoke a different language, the people that looked different to them, the people that had a different culture. On the other hand, the conquistadores were more open about what they truly were after. They were not here to colonize. They didn't want religious freedom. They were there to steal, pillage, loot, and take gold and silver and precious stones from the natives. They believed the priests and the friars coming from behind them could Christianize the savages that they encounter. Savages that were able to build beautiful floating cities in Mexico. Savages that built majestic pyramids at the same level of those found in Egypt. Savages that their art with gold and silver had no comparison in beauty to that found in many other countries. The colonizers, the conquistadores, took the land of people that were there. They did not care. They just wanted what was there. They just took the land that was not theirs, because according to them, they believed that it was their God-given right to do that. I find it interesting how the English came to this conclusion. Let me stress the fact that the English came to this conclusion, and the English came to this conclusion. We have to realize it was the English that came to this conclusion. And we say that we say the same about the Spanish that sponsored Christopher Columbus. And I'm going to make a sidebar here. That is very important, and it's a pet peeve for me. Christopher Columbus did not touch what today is American soil. He did not do that. He got lost in the Caribbean. If he had, the Taínos would have told him, but but just remember historical fact, and we keep thinking, oh, Christopher Columbus came and discovered America. No, he did not. But let me continue. let me not get into that side turn. At this time, I will really like to tell you the story, the real story about Christopher Columbus, but I don't have enough time for that. We will be here for the next 15 days. According to history, the Mayflower was transporting a group of English families that we call today pilgrims. They reached what is today the United States, dropping anchor near the tip of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, sometime in November 1620. Escaping religion persecution, they wanted to be able to pray freely. Think about that. So in 1620, this group of people, this community was determined to cross the Atlantic for America, which they consider a new promised land where they would establish a colony. We know this so well, but my question has always been, what about the people who inhabited that land? What do we know about them? Some historians believe that the destruction of Native American people, culture, and language has been characterized as a genocide. Some historians believe that the displacement of Native American by European settlers as a historical example of a genocide. I could go on about this, but once again, I'm not going to do it because I don't have the time. I want to touch on one historical moment that is a prime illustration of this action. It is important to understand that 13 men who would become presidents of the United States enslaved Black men, women, and children. At some point in their lives, beyond the particular institution, however, many presidents have themselves normalized white supremacy and serve as platforms for hate by virtue of their words and deeds. In 1779, George Washington popularized white nationalism when he ordered General Sullivan to destruct and devastate as many Native American settlements as possible. It will be essential to ruin their crops in the groups and prevent their planting more. He proudly declared. Half a century later, Andrew Jackson stated in his fifth annual message of 1833 that indigenous people have neither the intelligence, the industry, the moral habits, nor the desire of improvement, which are essential to any affordable change in their conditions, established in the minds of another and a more superior race. They must necessarily yield to the circumstances and long despair. I want to take a pause here and remind you all that it was under Andrew Jackson that the Cherokee Nation was forced into the Trail of Tears. It is important to understand that the Cherokees were one of the largest tribes in North America before colonization. It was estimated range from 22,000 to 30,000 people. They control a vast stretch of land that's today Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. The Cherokees developed a strong agriculture system, cultivating corn, beans, squash, while also hunting and trading. Their villages were politically organized, and they maintained a complex clan system that ensures social structure and culture continuity. Because we are in October and we are acknowledging Indigenous Day, it is important at this moment to touch in this subject, the Trail of Tears. So in October 1838, the Cherokee Nation began to walk the Trail of Tears. Most of them made it the 1,000 miles journey west to Oklahoma on foot. An estimated 4,000 native people, or a quarter of the tribe, died en route. The soldiers escorting them at Boony Point refused them permission for the dead to be buried, threatening to shoot everyone who disobeyed. So the living were forced to carry the corpse of the dead until camp was made for the night. History tells us that Georgia Governor George Gilmore said, "Treaties are expedient by which ignorant, intolerable, and savage people are induced to deal upon what civilized people have the right to possess." By civilized people, he apparently meant people willing to brutally dispose and kill women, children, in order to derive economic benefits for themselves. President Jackson said that this is a country for white men. And I believe many are saying that today. As history has it, many years after the Cherokee had rounded up and driven down the Trail of Tears, George Burnett, one of the soldiers, reflected on what he and his fellow soldiers had done. School children of today do not know that we are living on lands that were taken from helpless race at Boony Point to satisfy the white man's greed. Murder is murder, and somebody must answer. Somebody must explain the stream of blood that flowed in Indian country. Somebody must explain the 4,000 silent graves that marked the trail of the Cherokee in exile. Now I'm asking you, is this that someday? Who is going to be that somebody? Where are we going to find that moment? But at this point in history, it seems like very little has changed. There's still many groups out there that believe our Native people, African American and Hispanic, have no rights. Today, just as Andrew Jackson said many years ago, we have neither the intelligence, the industry or moral habit, nor the desire of improvement, which is essential to any forcible change in our condition. The problem is that we have provided so much to this country, and those groups are still blinded by ignorance and hate. And the fight from day one is going to continue unless we stop and realize that together we can make a better nation. The Unitarian Universalists have since 1967 have made public statements in support of North American indigenous communities. The Unitarian Universalists are people of faith, call most respect and learn from indigenous people and support their struggle for social justice and religion freedom. Today we honor our indigenous brothers and sisters, but let us just do it for one day. We have to do it always. We are people of faith. We are people of justice. Let us continue to be that way, and let us continue to acknowledge our indigenous families and friends. Thank you. Blessed be. Amen and namaste. Yes.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Aha! Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living all alone. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Hello. It's offering time. Every month, we give a portion of our offerings to our Share the Plate recipient, reflecting our mission to support good works beyond these walls and into our larger community. This month's Share the Plate organization is Special Needs Community of Northern Nevada. They are an organization that is committed to improving the quality of life for individuals with disabilities and their families. Their mission is to create an inclusive and supportive environment where all individuals, regardless of ability, are empowered to thrive. They offer a range of essential services, including facilitated support groups, structured respite care opportunities, educational workshops, and a thoughtful, curated monthly calendar of social and recreational events. By fostering connection, providing resources, and promoting understanding, Special Needs Community serves as a vital hub for families navigating the challenges and joys of life with a disabled loved one throughout Northern Nevada. All of our giving options should be on the screen behind me or provided in your Zoom session. And now, let the offering begin. Please join Nancy and I as we bless our offerings to the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. We dedicate ourselves, and these are our offerings. Before I walk off stage, we have some announcements. Just a couple. I like reading this one. This one seems fun. Fellowship potluck. Want to get to know more of our members and friends, have some delicious food, and build community at UUFNN? We do too. The membership committee is inviting everyone to a salad potluck on Wednesday, October 15th. Bring a salad, a topping for a salad, or something to have with a salad. Join us for conversation and a meal. We'll meet in the Star King room at 5 or 5:30 to 7:30. Please bring a list of ingredients in your food. We have folks who are vegan and vegetarian members and friends, those with allergies. Folks need to know what is in your delicious offering. Join us for conversation and a meal. You can also make a poster for the No Kings protest that's coming up. We'll meet in the Star King room to talk about that as well. We'll do the dishes. Hope to see you there. Also, if you want to make an announcement, these pamphlets have QR codes in them. Please try to make an announcement by Wednesday at noon. We're trying to stand sturdy with that. And if you want to be part of any other community organizations or events, feel free to look at the pamphlet or our newsletters. That's all our announcements.
I'm short. We're establishing something new, and there are a lot of moving parts. So you have to bear with me just a little bit. We're having something called What New Questions. When you came in, some of you received a little piece of paper. There is pencils. Wow. In front that you could answer. The questions that I'm going to place to you are the following. Okay? How do the lessons of the past inform us how we respond to the current times we are living in? What is one thing you are doing to resist? There's a little box here. After the service, you can put your answers here. You do not have to write your answers if you don't want to. You could keep them in your head and figure out, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what's going to happen. But if you want to answer the questions, and I'm going to repeat it, how do the lessons of the past inform us on how we respond to the current times we are living in? Second, what is one thing you are doing to resist? And that's up to you to answer. And put your answers here so I can make sure that Reverend Kristen and Nathan get your answers for those that decided to write the answers. We're coming to the extinguishing of our chalice. As we extinguish the chalice, not the light that is shared. And I ask the Great Spirit that may the warmth winds of heaven blow gently on your house, and may the Great Spirit bless all who entered. May your moccasins make happy tracks in many snows, and may the rainbow always touch your shoulders.
Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace, and then remain standing for our choral and spoken benedictions.
Before the benediction, we forgot tiny little announcement. At the library, there are 200 years of Unitarian Universalist history at the library. Also, don't forget that the classes for learning more about Unitarian Universalists and our fellowship are follow the Sunday services, the first and second Sunday of the month. If you need more information, find Gaia. She's in the back, and she will give you all the information you might need about the subject. Now, how about if you can and you're willing, hold on to each other. And if you cannot hold on to each other, hold on to your heart and put your hands in your heart. We close our service today with a Cherokee prayer of strength. Great Spirit, give me the strength to walk the soft earth. Give me the eyes to see and the strength to understand. With your power, only I can face the winds. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the sunset. Our worship is over. Now it's time for service to begin. Blessed be, Amen and Namaste.
Ale.